Like this, she would be 3 feet taller than the San Jacinto Monument.
Oh, really?
Really?
Wow.
Now, how many here from outside the state of Texas? Anybody here from outside the state of Texas? Where are you from? Where? Wow. Utah. Oh, we'll talk slower. Anybody else? You need to understand. See, the San Jacinto Monument is an exact duplication of the monument in Washington, D.C. But then again, you are in the state of Texas, aren't you? We're not about to let them people in Washington, D.C. have a monument as tall as ours, so we built ours just like theirs and put a star on top just so it's tall.
There you go.
I did 172 feet. I got a F in history class in New Orleans, Louisiana, because I knew the story behind that. We wanted to be taller than Washington, D.C. Monument, and they had a star, and it was 571 feet, 2 inches, something like that. And I got counted off every freaking time. She put that question on every freaking test we had because I would not change my mind.
You ever tell her, does she know what a brig is?
No, I didn't.
Yes, sweetie. I mean, young lady. I mean, ma'am. What is the politically correct way to refer to a child?
Hey, you.
Hey, you.
Like, when was this boat made and how was it made?
Okay, she was commissioned in 1914. They actually started building her in 1910.
Oh, wow.
Now, all ships are built, they build the hull, like this.
The bottom.
The bottom. And then when they push her out in the water, then they build all the superstructures up and down.
So,
Because they didn't want her too heavy.
what happened to the
Huh?
pirates?
How much is the what?
What happened to the pirates?
How much is the pirates?
What happened to the pirates?
Oh, what happened to the pirates?
Well, they're sailors.
That's a different ship.
That's a different ship, baby.
It's an
Piracy was
interesting
illegal
story.
back then.
Okay. You see,
hanged.
and I forgot the name of that flag. I gotta find that out. But you see, it doesn't have the stars and stripes.
Yeah.
The Navy is very strict in history. And so all ships carried that flag that were military vessels. It was to distinguish the difference between a military vessel and a cargo vessel.
Yeah.
Now, there's very little doubt what the Battleship Texas is. But this goes back to the early days of sailing ships. Cargo ships had cannons on board to protect themselves from the pirates. So you
Good
couldn't
question,
between a
Lily.
cargo
Very
ship
surreal.
and a military vessel unless it was flying Union Jack. That's what it's called, the Union
The Union Jack. There you go.
So they flew the Union Jack. And she's only got 48 stars because, see, this ship is set up as how she was in 1948 when she was decommissioned.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I forgot what I was going to ask, but it has to do with,
Don't ask.
okay. You guys,
I have a question.
He'll come to you. The bridge.
She
He
has
has
a
a
question.
question. That's not up there, right?
Oh, okay. Now, there's an interesting story about the bridge.
My
The
dad
Battleship
thinks I'm
Texas
in
was
heaven
in
right
two
now.
world wars.
That's
She was
okay.
only hit twice. And there was only one death due to combat on board the Battleship Texas in 2 world wars. And this was at Cherbourg during the Normandy invasion. The Battleship Texas Cherbourg and 2 German rounds, German 9-inch rounds, hit the Texas. One hit the starboard side and came through the bulkhead but never exploded. And the reason was it had a bent pin. But they deactivated it and they put it on board the ship as a signification of being the luckiest ship in the fleet. One of my favorite veterans, of course he's passed away now so I can talk about him, is Charlie Craig. Charlie talks about how, and let me preface this. When I first started doing this, I was told never ever to contradict a veteran. Whatever he says, you go, oh, I did not know that. So Charlie was talking about how him and 3 other sailors took that live round and threw it overboard. Well, it went into the half deck, which is the deck below us. You see, the bow is taller than the stern, keeps it from digging into the water. So to level the ship out, they put in the half deck where junior officers slept, and it takes up that height. So he's talking about taking his shell, him and 3 other guys, and throwing it overboard. Well, there's some problems with Charlie's story. Number 1, Charlie was not on board this ship during Normandy. Number 2, if you threw it overboard, how do we get it back and put it up there?
I was going to say that.
But the other round that hit the ship did explode. A German 9-inch round came in and hit the top of the armored conning tower. That's just above those top 2 14-inch barrels.
Yeah.
And exploded. Well, that armored conning tower is 12 inches of solid steel. So the entire concussion went straight up into that first area, which is called the navigation bridge. That's where it killed the helmsman, Chris Christensen, the one and only sailor to ever die aboard this vessel due to combat in 2 world wars. Well, standing 10 feet away from him was just a wonderful individual. His name is Emil Saw. Aim passed away about a year ago. I could not go to the funeral. His daughter sent me a video of it, and she says they're going to have another funeral when all this COVID nonsense is over, and we'll go up there. But at any rate, Aim was standing by, and he got blown up. They took him from Normandy to Newport News, Virginia by boat. He was in the hospital for 3 weeks before he ever woke up. He no longer has any feet. His stubs fit inside these special made boots, and he walked with a cane. He looked like any other 90-year-old man walked with a cane except for one very distinguishing difference. He had the complexion of a 30-year-old. I said, Aim, how'd you stay so young looking? He said, John, if you had to have as many plastic surgeries done to your face as I had done to mine, you look young too. So he's in the hospital, and he's in a full body cast from his stubs, up his legs, up his torso, up his neck, out both arms. I mean, the man barely can blink. Some Marines came in the hospital, and when they found out what happened to Aim, they decided that Aim needed a beer. Now, Marines, knowing he's taking all these drugs, had no effect. They don't care. So they stole the man out of the hospital. They didn't bring a beer to him, though. They stole the man out of the hospital, could barely blink, put him in the back of the Jeep, took him down to the local honky-tonk, tried to get him in the door, but his arms being in casts come to a halt. So they backed him up, turned him sideways, shuffled him through, laid him out on 2 tables, and brought him a beer and a straw. Aim told me to this day that's the best beer he's ever had in his entire life. I just love these stories. I got one more cute story for you. I forgot the sailor's name. But he was in the crow's nest. That's where those glasses up there. That's 134 feet above the water. The only way to get to it is, you see those little round tubes? If you look over there, you can see the water. You had to climb up the outside of the rung. Well, this sailor was up there, and he was the youngest sailor in the crow's nest, so they sent him after coffee. Now, this is at Normandy, but combat condition, no lights. So he comes down, he goes to galley, and how he found this stuff in the dark, I don't know, but he finds this 2-gallon coffee container. And he pours the sugar in it, he pours the cream in it, and he fills it up with coffee, and how he found the lid, I don't know, but he found the lid. Now he's got this under his arm. He has to climb 134 feet above the water on the outside of the tripod leg, pitch dark, in a ship going like this. He said he was more frightened doing that than the first day they hit Normandy, but he made it, and he was so proud of himself. He passed out all the coffee, he all took a sip and spit it out. See, it turns out in the dark that bowl of sugar turned out to be a bowl of salt. But these are just wonderful stories, because my wife and I have been so blessed to have been communicating with them, and they've all passed away now. But I've got a friend that's a Green Beret, and their chapter has a picnic every Memorial Day, and they always invite me. And I get to relate these stories to these guys because they really appreciate it.
Yeah.
So.
What are the actual technical name for the structures where they come out of? Is it called a chute, or what's the actual?
Oh, where the big barrels come out of?
Yeah. What's the
Well, the
technical?
big steel things.
Yeah. What the long things?
They call them big steel things.
Oh, big steel things. Okay.
Those are the turrets.
Turrets.
See,
Okay.
you see the turret, and you see how they're rounded like that? They go straight down, 12 inches thick, all the way down 5 decks to where the magazines are, and that's where they keep the bullets. And the bullets weigh about the same weight as a Volkswagen. And they keep all the powder charges. And each shell will have 4 powder charges behind it.
Okay.
These guys were so good that in calm seas, they could fire those weapons one time every 45 seconds. And that's bringing a shell from 5 decks below, putting it in the barrel, and putting 4 powder charges, weigh about 94 pounds apiece, in behind it.
How many of them end up being death?
Of course, they were bulletproof. They were 18 and 19-year-old kids. But the interesting thing is if y'all don't know what a recoil is, that's when you shoot a gun, that's the barrel goes back like this. There is an 8-foot recoil on this. And if you strap yourself off to the inside of that turret, that barrel comes within 4 inches of your chest. And remember, you never know it's going to go off.
No, thank you.
Guys like me go on a diet real fast. You know. Liposuction has nothing to barrel technology. Any other questions I can answer?
Is the buckle still there from Cherbourg?
Is it what there?
Because they were shooting off the bow, which was wrong, and it buckled the deck below, back by the.
Well, ma'am, I know that to answer your question, the buckle's not there. Now, you'll see some warps and stuff like that. It's the sheer weight of the ship.
Yeah.
But you're right, it did buckle. And it buckled because sometimes they would shoot all 10 guns off to the starboard or the port side. And it looks, if you see the pictures, it looks like the ship was moved back from the concussion. The truth is, the ship didn't move. The force behind those 10 guns going off one time pushed the water away from the ship. Now, I had to read that in about 5 or 6 different places after being told by the ship's crew, because I didn't believe it.
It's true.
That's impressive.
It's true?
I've seen the New Jersey fire its guns, and you see the smoke, you see it move, you hear the boom. It was just boom, boom, boom.
I forgot what all I told him, what I
Would it
didn't
shake
tell you.
the boat if you shot most of the
Oh, yes, sir. And the vacuum. I don't know if you've ever shot a large caliber weapon. I got a 45 Magnum, and I shoot it maybe once a year, and I've had plenty of it. It creates a vacuum. You can feel the pressure in your ears. You would never be in front of those ferals when they shot them. It would blow your eardrums out. Now, if you're inside the turret, oh, it's loud, but it's not that bad because you're sealed in there. So they tell me.
What was the nickname for the Texas? I mean, the New Jersey.
Come on,
was-
Texas.
Okay.
Now, the first story I'm going to tell you about is a bald-faced lie.
I was in San Diego. That was back in the early '80s when it was still active.
I have a story for you about the ship. True story.
The model "Come on, Texas." The first story I'm going to tell you is a bald-faced lie, but it's one I'd like you to tell your friends and neighbors. We would like to believe that the Army and Marines on shore at Iwo Jima, Okinawa, North Africa, was watching the Texas bombard enemy emplacements and was yelling, "Come on, Texas!" The truth is, she was coming out of port in New York City, ran aground of a sandbar. It took tugboats 3 days to pull the Texas off the sandbar, and the whole time all around the walkway, around the beach there, the people from New York were watching us yelling, "Come on, Texas!" But tell the first lie if you would. It sounds good. Any other questions I can answer? You had another